Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're going to do some more VHS kind of thrifting kind of buys here because they're really cheap right now in our area. And, you can get about 10 movies for the price of one right now by buying VHS stuff. And there's lots of stuff that we just want to check out and maybe watch or rewatch from way back. And it's just a good, cheap way to do it. So here's some of the pickups we got recently. And to start off with, I don't know if anyone's seen this. This is a 90s movie. A lot of them are going to be from the 90s, obviously, because that's the big VHS era. Yeah. So this is called The Bear. I saw this in the theaters. And
you did?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
It's not, I used to go a lot because, there's a lot of movies to go see back then. I mean, there are now, but they're all, half of them are Marvel movies, right? But this one, I remember because the bear goes on not just a journey, but he goes on a trip when he eats mushrooms. And it's kind of messed up, and I thought it was a Disney movie, but clearly it's not. It says TriStar. Is that a division of Disney?
The TriStar was owned by Disney.
Okay, so that's it. Disregard the price you see on here, because we didn't pay that. But, it's just about the journey of a small bear. I can't remember if it loses its mom or something, but it's a fine movie to watch once and be done with. So
I was surprised when you turned it around that it said it was PG.
Yeah, you don't remember seeing this when you were at Blockbuster or anything.
Seen the cover.
You just never watched it.
No.
Okay, so next we've been getting a few Jackie Chan films because they're much cheaper on VHS, obviously. The Prisoner here, we've never seen this, so if anyone wants to leave comments on what they think we should watch first out of movies we haven't seen, let me know what this is. If it's good, just have no... Oh, obviously this was a Blockbuster title actually too.
Yeah.
If you can see that. I know it's kind of bright in there,
But that is definitely one of the labels that we used to print out and put on when we were selling them.
But you can see on here, they got the, Be Kind, Rewind.
Yeah.
Blockbuster thing. Okay, so that came from a Blockbuster. But I mean, usually his movies are kind of weird when we watch them. They're fine, and then they just end. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know how to end them. All right, so next, here's one of your favorites. And we've got some clamshells here. Is that what they call these?
Yes, clamshells.
I don't know where they got the idea of calling them a clamshell. But
I think just because the outer edge.
I'm going to change. I just changed the brightness a bit for everybody so it doesn't look like it's glowing so much.
This is definitely a movie that the first time I watched it wasn't for me. As I got older and could appreciate the humor a lot more. And it's, of course, an insanely quotable movie that...
Yeah, something I never had any interest in.
Era.
Never considered watching it till you said it was one of your favorites and we watched it. It's really, it's just a nice, solid, fun, and like I said, highly quotable movie.
Yeah.
People that have seen it definitely know what we're talking about.
Yeah. My nephew is named after Wesley.
Right. Oh, we're going to put this. It's a big, chunky one.
Yes.
Okay. Here. Not many Mel Gibson movies that I haven't enjoyed, It's funny, some of his bigger ones I didn't like, but Ransom was pretty good. Ransom was a solid film. Without much spoilers on here. This is about a guy who has his child kidnapped.
Yes.
And they ask for a ransom, and he decides not to pay it.
Right.
So it was pretty good for the day. It's hard to tell when these are from. This was probably late 90s, because all these, they don't always have a clear indication of what year they're from. So I would imagine this was like 98, 99 or something like that.
I think it's that late. I
don't know.
thought it was earlier.
Maybe
than
not.
that.
Maybe 96. So does she play his wife?
Yes, Renee Russo's his wife.
Oh, which is funny because she's his wife in
Lethal Weapon.
the Lethal Weapon series.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Donnie Wahlberg made his acting debut in that movie.
Oh, that makes sense. That would have been
long before he was doing Blue Bloods.
Another
on TV.
Touchstone, which you say is a Disney division.
I think the other one was TriStar.
TriStar. Touchstone. Who was that?
Touchstone, I think, was bought out by them too. I don't know which one they. I'd have to go back and look, but there was a division of movies where they were the non-Disney themes.
If they were a little too mature,
the more mature themed stuff.
So I'm not sure if anyone knows if that was a thing. They're starting to put those on Disney Plus now. Some of them they're starting to break down and not make it so childlike because they're not making enough money off it.
Yeah.
Now here's another kidnapping breakdown. This was not as good as Ransom, but it's kind of one of those movies where it feels like a gut punch because his wife just disappears and he's got to track him down in this weird town. They're on vacation or something.
It's kind of like a Mandela effect or gaslighting, right? Everybody's telling him he's crazy.
Yeah, everyone's telling, like, almost like you don't even have a wife,
right?
Like, what you must be insane,
right?
So, but it's one of those. There were lots of those in the '90s where they were not the best story, but there was some really.
You put the right actors in there that had the right intensity,
right?
And
there was
to them, and
there was some horrible emotion to them.
Yeah.
Kind of like I don't know. There's so many of them. We'll probably run across them eventually, so I won't even bother getting into it. Here's The Gauntlet. Now, is this?
It's not Dirty Harry.
It's not a Dirty Harry, right?
No, but he is still a cop.
Right, and there's his wife,
Sandra. Well, I don't think they ever got married.
Oh, they just
were together
for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this was in, like, instead of being in California somewhere, it was Arizona or something like that.
Oh,
it was
right.
a different state.
Yeah.
Different cop name, but still the same type of thing. So neither one of us had ever seen it.
Well, that's the thing.
For 30 cents, how do you not grab it and watch an old Clint Eastwood?
We didn't know until just a few years back, but a few years back, that he had his own company. Like, he was the one making these movies.
Right, yeah.
So even though they were kind of B movies a lot in a way, people loved him, and he was just probably raking in the dough because he makes his own stuff.
Yeah, he did not go over budget or have extensive shoots or any of that.
Yeah,
he was very meticulous about it.
I'm wondering if this was kind of his way of making a Dirty Harry kind of film without having to pay whoever was Dirty Harry. All right, this is a newer one, right? Is this a 2000s film?
Yeah.
That's probably in the 2000s, which kind of shocks me that they're still making VHS. But, I mean, really, the mid-2000s is when VHS ended, like 2004, 2005. That's when things really took a downward.
Well, when the video stores all went away, right?
Right.
And they'd already, they had older stuff on VHS, but they weren't getting any new stuff in on VHS anymore after.
And I've watched this with you, and it doesn't do much for me, but it's definitely a good.
When I first watched it, I watched it just because Julie Andrews was in it. I didn't know
she does
who
great.
Anne Hathaway was, and then it was just a fun story.
Does she sing in it at all?
She does, and it was the first time she'd actually sung on film.
That's what I remember.
Since her surgery.
Right, she had throat surgery, right? And she still sounded pretty good.
Yep.
After a major throat surgery.
She's Maria. She's Mary Poppins.
And Anne Hathaway was fairly new within her first few years of being out.
I don't know that I'd seen her in anything before this.
Right. But a good. And
of course,
I hate to say chick flick now because maybe that offends people, but that's what this is.
Well, and it's a fun one for. Like I watched it with our daughter when she was younger.
Yeah.
And,
but that's one where if a guy went to see this, you get through it and you're like, it wasn't that bad. You're like, you hate to admit it, but you just, not totally disappointed. I've seen worse stuff that are guy movies, they'd call them, right? Now, here's one I've never seen.
I can't believe you've never seen this.
Never seen it. I've heard of it. She looks familiar.
That's Kate Capshaw.
Oh my gosh, that's why. That's Steven Spielberg's wife.
Yeah, Willie.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's why
and
she
John
looks familiar.
Travolta's wife's in it too. That's Kelly Preston.
Oh. And I mean, he looks familiar too, like a lot of these people.
Yeah, so, they're all pretty familiar actors.
Any
It was
idea
early
what year
on
this
for
is from?
all of them. I would say the mid 80s,
Wow.
85, 86 probably.
Okay, so this was probably like a year or so after she did.
But this
Temple of Doom or something.
This was one of those when the video store across the street from where I lived did the whole, if you rent it in the morning and return it before 5 o'clock, you can get another one for free. And I was spending a ton of time watching movies that summer, and it was.
Yeah, that used to be a great deal. We used to do that for video games.
Yeah,
video games were the same at that time.
But that was one that I remember really enjoying.
If you had the summer off and you lived next to a video store.
It was easy to see multiple movies.
Right. What do we got here? We'll do a couple more. All right, how about this? This is one that I think you had seen this, and you told me about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And this is great. I mean, anyone can enjoy this. This is a very...
nostalgic.
Cult.
80s nostalgic.
Become a cult classic easily, right?
Yeah, it really has.
Who's the guy in this? He's a weird guy.
Alan. Is it Alan Cumming?
That sounds right. Alan Cumming. So... And we didn't even pay 50 cents. Actually, this is one I got for free down at the transfer station. It was just sitting there. You know, sometimes there's a stack of VHS there. Other times there's nothing. This was the only one just sitting in there. And I'm like,
and this is one that we do own it on DVD.
Right. But I couldn't argue with the price.
Right.
There's some movies that I look at and think they feel better, oddly, watching them in this format because that's the way I was introduced to them. You know, there's some films where, like Dances with Wolves, I had that on VHS and I enjoyed it. But when I got it on DVD and then Blu-ray, it's just so epic. The scenery, the cinematography, you know, that's where you want to see things. But, you know, a lot of comedies and stuff like that don't need it. Dramas, a lot of times, don't need it. You're not missing much.
You're not missing anything.
Right. But this is super. I'd suggest anyone that has not seen this to definitely check it out. Did they do a sequel, or they said they're working on one?
I think there was talk, but there's been a lot.
Yeah, that's been in the last year, right?
Between COVID and now whatever strikes are happening, I'm sure there are things that have been put off indefinitely.
Okay, what else we got here? All right, this one's from the early 90s. A lot of people have probably seen this. Was this based off of that guy I've been watching, Philip K. Dick?
Was it one of his stories?
Right. I think this is one of his stories. It's based off of something like that. Some of them are good. Some of them are weird. That'd be the guy that did Blade. Well, they changed it a lot, but he was the foundation for Blade Runner. And this one, I remember seeing many times because my father had got a satellite dish, and he got one. I don't know who he got it through, but he got one where he'd call up this number. He paid extra for the satellite dish, but it had some sort of chip in it that had descrambler capabilities, and he had to call every 2 weeks or a month to get the new descrambler keys, or when it would go out, because they changed their codes for scrambling satellite. So we had a satellite dish for the first, 4 or 5 years of the 90s. So I was watching things that weren't even out on the cable around here yet, like Comedy Central, stuff like that. And this is a movie that used to be on the pay-per-view stuff. Oh. And I watched it because it was free. It was all unscrambled. I got to watch things like WrestleMania. I got to watch things like Seinfeld 3 days before it came out because they pushed the video over the satellite.
It's something I saw at the theaters
this year. You might have seen this.
I think.
Do you not remember it well?
I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I've seen it like 20 some times because it was on every 3 hours.
Yeah, but I don't recall it. Enough for. Did I go to the theater and see it, or did I see it when it first came out on VHS? But
and I mean, this is how I remember seeing it because there weren't widescreen TVs in the 90s. You were getting it over to satellite, and they weren't letterboxing it.
I'd heard of Schwarzenegger, but I'd never seen any of his movies until I saw Twins.
Right, so you didn't see like Terminator and stuff before that.
No.
And this was before the second Terminator. So, but that's a good movie. If no one's ever seen it, I'm kind of burnt out on it. But then again, I haven't seen it for another 30 years. So, all right, what do we get? Let's wrap it up with. How about this?
The new double feature. Yeah,
this double feature. I wouldn't have got this otherwise. But again, another 30 cents buy. This is The Bounty, which I've never seen. I thought I heard some people say it was fine. But I don't know. But it had Mad Max, and I have not seen Mad Max on videotape yet while we've been looking. So it's a double feature, and Good Times. They even put Good Times on the tapes in there.
Yeah.
So you can see, it's a double feature, and I mean Mad Max is a classic, much rougher than the subsequent 2 and 3. which became more kind of Hollywood blockbusters by the time the third one came out.
I'd never seen any of them until you had me watch them.
But The Bounty, I believe, is Mutiny on the Bounty. That I've never read the story. I've never seen the movie, so that's going to be something new we'll be able to watch. And you know, it's great to be able to get something so cheap and not have to. Even if we get, like, we have movie services, and there's free services where you can pretty much watch almost anything, but there's lots of stuff that just doesn't show up for years,
right?
Because of certain movie rights and stuff. So we get to watch it, and we don't have to deal with any commercials.
No commercials.
No commercials. We watch it on the big TV in the back room. I have found a handful of free VCRs over the last few years, and it's surprising how good most of these still look. Should we do one more?
Sure.
What do we got there? 10. Let's make it a dozen, right?
All right.
And then we can do some more next time. Which one you want to talk about?
Do the one I don't know anything much about the one in the middle, so
well, let's do this. Yeah. All right. So this, and I've never seen this either.
I have seen it once, way back when it first came out.
All right. This has someone's name on it, so I'm going to cover that up for starters, and I'll turn it around after. But this is another one we got for free. I think I found this one for free because I went to. I don't think I would have picked this up.
I remember watching it because of the cast. You know, it was
well, look
a lot
at the cast. I mean, good names.
Remembered. It's kind of a
film
throwback,
noir.
a film noir kind of thing for old Hollywood type.
So we can see the back there. Best movie. I remember it being. I mean, that's just Time Magazine. That's not. It didn't win. I don't know. Right. Maybe it did win an Oscar for something, but.
So it was...
James Cromwell's in it. I don't like him, but that's okay. He's got a small part, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Kim Basinger was the star, the focal point.
But something I'd never watch otherwise, and but you know what? There's so much on TV now. It's hard to even pick anything. I can't get into anything. So to have something physical, to have something physical to throw in, and it's too many choices, but it's a lot of the same stuff you've seen. Year after year. And now a lot of these services are doing their own stuff, and they're flooding it with a lot of low grade films and things. So it's not like the era of the 90s where that was one of those golden eras of movies, I think. So that's it for this round.
Yeah, we'll catch that one at some point, just so you can say you've seen it too.
Yeah, so we'll see this, and it's nice to mix up when you just don't know what you want to see. So that's it for now, and we'll see you next time. So long.